Hey, y'all. So before we get started with today's podcast, Kat and I feel like it's very important to acknowledge what's going on around us. As residents of Nashville, this has affected us personally. As human beings, this has affected us personally and very deeply with everything going on with George Floyd's death, with the Black Lives Matter movement, as well as with the protests and some of the riots as well. You know, we feel like it's very important just to put the word out that at the end of the day, we need to understand each other. We need to work together to create a better world for not only for ourselves, but for our children. And we really kind of encourage everybody to stop and to really think about maybe what you say, maybe what you do, what you can say, what you can do that would make the world a better place. With that being said, Kat and I would like to take a moment of silence before we get into today's episode to just kind of acknowledge what's going on, to pray for hope, love, and peace for everybody who's been affected by this and so many of the other racial injustices that have gone on in the world.
Of course. And if you would like to donate to any of the organizations that we talk about, you can go onto our show notes and we'll have links on our website.
Thank you.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Tenn and 2 podcast. This is Kat.
And I'm Catlin. Welcome to the show. Today we're going to be talking about some really fun stuff. As a little bit of space nerds, we're super excited about today's topic, so we hope you guys enjoy. How are you, Kat?
I'm doing great.
Did we just do an intro?
We did just do an intro,
Shut
and it was so
the
good.
Front door. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like, the world has
How
ended.
about that?
We are on episode 70. We've been doing the
I
70
know.
times, and we finally have a freaking intro.
Yeah, it takes us a little bit.
You
We'll
know,
catch up.
whatever. At this
Oh,
point,
man.
we almost might as well have just not done it. I feel like people like the awkward, like, hi, y'all.
Yeah, I have heard that people do enjoy the awkwardness of our intros.
Guys, we're just as awkward no matter what. We promise.
Yeah, this is... Oh, man.
We're just trying to be a little more fancy, a little less awkward, but we're still awkward AF.
It's all fake. Yeah, it's all fake. Oh, yeah, it's super, like, it's gotten, I think we skipped spring. Like,
Oh, yes, we did.
It's like we are so into summer now. It is so hot and humid.
The humidity,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. Like, I know that I kept saying, oh, I'm ready for summer. Oh, I'm ready for summer. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's because, like, I don't really get summer vacations this year. And so
Yeah.
now I'm just over it. Like, summer's not fun. If I don't get to go lay out in the hot, humid weather at the beach, like, I don't want it.
It's different at the beach, though, because then you have, like, the breeze and you have the water. I
Oh,
don't know.
I
I
agree.
feel
I'm
like it's
fine
more
with it.
bearable.
I'm fine with it at the beach and I'm fine with it at the pool. But, man.
My husband, he's tried to get me to go twice this weekend. He's like, let's go hiking, let's go. And I'm like, it's like 93, 94. It's 100% humidity. No, I'm good. I'm just going to chill here.
No thanks, babe.
We talked about a few weeks ago, actually, like getting some inflatable pools to put in the back. And I'm not kidding. Like, I'm about to go buy some.
Girl,
and we're going to be recording our podcast in my backyard.
I'm going to send you, I literally downloaded a TikTok video that I'm going to send to you. That is exactly that. It's a BYOP party. So bring your own pool. And it is live. And I think that
Oh my
that's where we
gosh.
should start recording our podcast.
I think so too.
Let's
Let's do it. Let's go for it.
Freaking do
Because
it.
electronics and water, they go together. So
well.
this will be a lot.
You should see my bathtub setup. I'm like it's real shady. There's a laptop. There's like the phone. There's AirPods. It's a whole situation. The fact that I have not, knock on wood. Hang on. Where am I? All right, knock on wood. The fact that I have not dropped something in my bathtub or the shower is a miracle. Like,
Yeah.
man, so ridiculous. Or even at the beach or in the pool. I
know.
You got to get those videos, those photos for
Yep.
the gram.
Yep, it's worth it.
Exactly. Look, I mean, basically, if I'm willing to wear my Speedmaster out in this humidity, then my phone will be okay, right?
Yeah. Speaking of Speedmasters.
Speaking of Speedmasters, we're talking
we have a cool show today.
Space watches.
Yeah. This is, so maybe we're a little late to the game, but we still think it's fun to talk about because SpaceX, what was that, 2 weeks ago?
SpaceX was May 30th, so it was like 2 weeks ago.
May 30th. Yeah. So SpaceX officially launched.
In our defense, last week we had the episode with Zach.
Yeah.
So, yeah, which was so fun. Oh
my gosh.
I did a thing since this episode.
What?
I did a thing.
Did you buy a camo strap?
I ordered a camouflage watch strap.
Yes.
It should be here in a couple of days. And yeah, we'll see. We'll see how this goes. I feel like once you have a camouflage watch strap, it's a real slippery slope to just like chugging natty lights and wearing flannel and I don't know.
It's okay. It's okay. You're welcome to the dark side anytime.
I just ordered one, so calm down. I don't know that I'm converted. I also ordered a green watch strap. Like, man, I'm hanging around you too much.
Who are you? Who is this person I'm talking to?
I am anymore. I'm having a real crisis. Real crisis.
I think everybody's having a little crisis right
Amen. To be fair, I haven't bought the World Time Aquaterra yet and try to claim it as a tax write-off. So far, I'm not going to prison.
That's the next step. Like, that's got to be the next step.
It goes from camouflage to prison for tax evasion. All right. Awesome.
I got you.
Put money in my commissary, y'all.
Yeah. Oh man,
but that was such a fun episode. So if you guys haven't listened to it, you should definitely go back and give it a listen. It was so, like, listening back, it was so, I forgot how long we spent talking about camouflage and like Zach's history with it. He's so knowledgeable about it.
He is the camouflage expert for sure.
He's an expert at everything. I mean, it was just so fun talking about photography and life and cycling and yeah, it was a great time. Great episode. But so let's do this. Before we get to talking about space and everything else, let's do a wristwatch check. So Kat, what are you wearing today?
I am wearing the Seiko King Turtle, the SRPE05, I believe. And this is the one that has the sapphire crystal and ceramic bezel insert on it. And I'm not a person that has a weekend watch because I do wear everything quite a bit. But if I had to choose a weekend watch for me, it would probably be this one. I don't know. I'm such a lover now of these turtles. I never even considered them because of the size. I immediately just put them in the back burner. And when I saw this dial, I was like, okay, I'm going to take a chance on it because I love the dial. I love it being green so much. I'm so glad I did because I was always like a huge SKX fan, and I still am. But this thing wears so great on my wrist. It's big, yes, but it feels so good. It wears so well. And I know we talked about this on an episode that's coming up, but Seiko just does this magic with their watches. Mm-hmm. And man, it's so good. Like, it is so good. And I'll definitely keep my eye out in the future for some cool turtles that come out because I do really love this one. You know, I get a little added bonus with, the ceramic bezel and the sapphire crystal that you don't usually get in just the standard turtles. But I love this watch.
So let me ask you this, because I've noticed that since you've gotten that Seiko, you've not been wearing a different Seiko. Where does the Alpinist fit in your collection now?
I have not worn the Alpinist in I think I haven't worn it in like 3 to 4 months. Honestly, I haven't even pulled it out of the safe. So this one has, and I have tossed and turned over just selling it, keeping it, selling it, keeping it. I could sell it, but there's nothing really I'm looking at right now. So I figured, well, I'll just keep it and I can decide later if there is something I want a little bit more. If I had to pin the two together, I would keep the Turtle over the Alpinist for sure. And that's saying a lot because I'm a huge Alpinist fan. I love those watches, but I just tend to wear this one a lot more now. It feels a little bit better on my wrist. It's a little bit more useful with the bezel. I do use it to time things. I feel like it's a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like it's a little bit more of an actual like kind of beater adventure watch than the Alpinist would be. I know the Alpinist has this history and it has a story behind it, It's a tool watch, but here's the reality. We don't use our watches as tool watches. Like, no matter what, if you get a scratch on that thing, you're going to be pissed, So I'm definitely not all about like beating my tool watches up, but I feel like the Turtle is a watch that you can wear more safely, almost like with the ceramic bezel. Like, the Alpinist has that high polished bezel, so if you scratch it, if you hit it against something, you're gonna have a deep scratch right there, right on your bezel. I don't mind scratches in a case as much, like especially on the sides of a case, because you don't really notice it unless you're us and you look at your watches way too closely. But the ceramic bezel, it definitely makes that watch to me more of an adventure watch that you can work around the yard in, or if you were to go hiking, not in this Tennessee summer, you could wear it and be very comfortable with it and not have to worry about it.
No, absolutely. And with the Alpinist, one of the gripes I've always had is the lume wasn't that great for a Seiko, and this thing is like amazing. Stays bright all night. I can clearly see it. And if you were, hiking or doing some outdoor adventuring, like I would probably more likely want something like this on my wrist than the Alpinist, even though the Alpinist does have that rich history, the mountaineering kind of look and feel. I do like the Alpinist a lot in the winter, and maybe that's my problem right now because I do wear it on a lot of straps, brown straps, brown leather. It looks really good. So maybe that's why I haven't really worn it a lot. It's not going anywhere for now. Don't worry, y'all. I know I think this is my second round buying this watch or buying the Alpinist, but it'll stick around for a little bit until I officially have something else that maybe I want a little bit more. But anyway, what are you wearing today?
I am extra nerded out today. I was super excited about this episode. So, of course, I wore the Speedmaster. Of course.
You still have it on that NATO you had it on yesterday?
What NATO did I have it on yesterday?
You had it on a black NATO.
No. Do not. I took it off of that NATO today. I do love that NATO. So that black NATO, it's a kangaroo skin NATO. So it's made out of kangaroo tail. It's really cool. Just because I don't know that you may have ever seen it in person. I'll try to remember.
I feel like I would remember a kangaroo tail.
All the straps, man. All the straps is a real problem. Of course, it was ethically sourced. I don't buy anything that's not ethically sourced. But yeah, it's cool because it has like this really kind of weird, it's very smooth, but it's also rough at the same time. It's not what I expected. Actually, a friend of mine made it and gifted it to me. So it wasn't what I expected because I had never seen kangaroo leather before. Like, we live in Nashville, Tennessee. There's not a lot of kangaroo skin floating around. But yeah, it's super cool. But so I took it off of that, and I put it on actually the green NATO strap that I picked up from when we went to go see Josh the other day. So today I had it on a green strap, just, I don't know, because I saw it. It just felt like changing it up a bit. And then, so I have that watch. I also, because the astronauts double wrist, I freaking am double wristing, and I have my NASA G-Shock on. I am all about today's episode. And then on top of that, I have from our friend Watch Thing Clothing Company. I'll put the link on Instagram, but he does this really cool t-shirt that's like all sorts of like vintage Speedmaster stuff, and it looks like a moon. I'm probably describing this so terribly. But yeah, so it has like different markings from different variations of vintage Speedmasters. It kind of looks like a watch dial. It has, the 861 on there, Ed White, Hesalite. It has the very I noticed this at work today. It has the Speedmaster logo that you see at the 12 o'clock of all the Speedmasters, that I'm not going to say what it looks like because we don't talk like that on this podcast. But it's like right there prominent on the t-shirt, and I was like, man.
Oh no.
For everybody who doesn't know what this is. But it's okay. But yeah, so that's me. I'm extra today.
I like it.
Yep, and I will put...
It's okay to be extra.
Yeah, why not? I love this t-shirt. So this is my second t-shirt from him. Super comfortable. Love the material.
Yeah.
So. And it was nerdy. So let's go to space. I don't know.
Let's go to space, okay.
Why not? Well...
10 and 2 go to space?
10 and 2. 10 and 2 goes to space. Like, we're not even going to the opposite side of the country anymore or the opposite side of the world. We're just going to space. We said, screw this.
Bye, y'all.
2020, y'all. I think we're all signing up for SpaceX. Like,
Yeah.
man, if one more thing goes wrong this year, I don't know that we could take it.
Yeah.
But no, so
Killer bees.
we've skipped the killer hornets. Like, where did they go? Bring those guys back.
I don't know. I'm not asking questions on that one though, because really,
Bring them back. Like
I'm okay.
It just got worse. It got so much worse after the killer hornets. So, man, like, what's next? What is going on?
I don't know.
The world. Anyways, so I'm still determined 2020 is going to be my year. So, whatever.
Okay.
Can't keep me down. Space hornets.
I'm out. Like,
plagues. You're just quit.
wake you
up New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
All right, so very cool. Obviously, getting to space where there are no space hornets, there's hopefully no plague. So the SpaceX mission finally launched on May 30th. Did you watch it? Or did you watch any part of it?
No, I was bummed. I watched reruns of it, but I didn't watch it live, unfortunately. Did you? Were you able to watch it live?
I was able to watch it live. So originally,
Awesome.
I think it was supposed to have happened a couple of days before. And then I literally started watching it like at 11 a.m. I watched like 4 hours of NASA prep.
The pregame?
Yeah.
The
like,
pregame?
Yeah. I watched 4 hours of pre-gaming. And then they called it off for weather. And I was like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So it worked because I was actually off on a Saturday. So I got to sit around on Saturday and watch it and rewatch like the whole pregame thing. And it was a great experience to watch it. I was bummed because Tyler wasn't at my house and he's such like a space nerd. And I would have really loved to have watched that together, but it's okay.
Yeah, it was so exciting. I remember like I watched the launch and I got goosebumps because
I did too.
it's just, I mean, it's not something that happens every day and you're so excited for them. I can only imagine the nerves going through their system as they're taking off into space, and any astronaut that decides to do that, they're like the bravest people on Earth, I swear.
Yeah.
I just can't even imagine. But yeah, it gave me goosebumps. I was so pumped about it.
Can you imagine?
It's just incredibly exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you imagine watching this like the original back in the 60s?
I know.
Like that.
I know.
It would be.
And we've become immune to it because like we've seen a million movies and we've seen so many launches in our lifetime, but like being there when the first launch happened, I can only imagine. And I would love to go to one someday. And me and my husband talked about like, okay, if there's going to be another launch, we need to try to, be there for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's amazing. It's such an amazing thing.
Yeah. Just breathtaking. Like you said, I mean, I had goosebumps watching it. It was beautiful. It's just one of those experiences that, especially given everything kind of going on in the world, it was nice to have a pause. And, I felt like for the first time in a long time, we were united in our joy. Like, there's been a lot of pain, a lot of struggle, a lot of fear in these last few months. And this really kind of gave us all something to look forward to and something to believe in. And it was really inspiring. And like you said, the astronauts, like I could not imagine doing something like that. There's so many unknowns. Even now, there's still so many unknowns. But they did wear watches, or there was a watch. I saw a watch.
I saw one watch too.
Yeah.
I didn't do too much research as far as if both of them were wearing watches or just one, but yeah. Well, was it it was an Omega, correct?
Yeah, it was the Omega X33. Which
is that the Skywalker? Is that what they nicknamed that one?
So there was one version of it that's nicknamed Skywalker. Like
okay.
Yeah, I think there's been I could totally be wrong about this. I think there's been 3 or 4 versions of the X33 over the years. But this was I believe this was the 2nd generation version. So for those who don't know, and of course there'll be pictures in our show notes, the X33 is actually one of Omega's 2 only digital watches. So they do the X33, they do the Z33. These are basically watches that are designed for pilots specifically. You can actually, a lot of aviation teams will purchase these and have them engraved with like their flight squad on the back of it, on the case back, which is really cool.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, it's their only digital watch. It has it's a dual, it's digital and it's analog display. It does all these crazy like complications. I have no idea how to even operate the thing. I've seen them quite a bit. No clue how they work. But it'll like measure your phase elapsed time, your mission elapsed time. It has alarms and all this other stuff. It's just, I mean, it's a pilot's watch, so I'm definitely not looking to pick one up anytime soon. But I like that tonight when I was doing some notes for tonight's episode for recording, I typed in like SpaceX astronaut, and then like before I even typed W, so like the 5th or 6th search in the Google suggestion was watch. So clearly there's a lot of people paying attention to that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And the space or the X-33 has been worn by astronauts for quite a while actually, which is super cool too. Did you ever see that YouTube video? I think it was in 2003, and it was astronaut Don Petit, I think is his last name. Did you see this video of him servicing his own X-33 in space?
No.
You've never seen? Oh, I have to. The link will be on the show notes, but
were there parts flying in the air?
So when he like during takeoff or I think it was during takeoff, the crown on his X-33 fell off. And the thing is with it being a digital watch is the crown is where you have all the functionality. So he takes the watch apart. He just has like a duct tape workstation basically. So like he's taking all the screws, everything like that, and just sticking them on pieces of duct tape that he has like taped to a board or something like that. And literally just services, like reinstalls the crown on his X-33 just on the International Space Shuttle, like in a mega service center.
Bravo.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Crazy cool. I'll have to send you that video, but I think that it's absolutely cool.
Yeah, that's amazing. So besides the Omega X-33, there has been quite a few watches that have gone into space. And of course, I think most people automatically think of the Speedmaster, which is like the king of all kings. The Moonwatch,
right,
which you're wearing today, and it also has a million variations. And to me, it is like, I know how popular the sub is, but man, the Speedmaster to me is so iconic. And in my mind, it is one of the most iconic watches because even as a child and when I wasn't a watch geek, I wasn't a watch nerd, I remember seeing the Speedmaster when I was watching Apollo 13, the movie.
Yeah.
And I never saw anybody wearing a sub. I didn't used to watch movies and think about, I didn't spot the watches, but I remember spotting the watches when I watched that when I was younger. So it always just kind of like stood out in my mind as just such an iconic piece. And I hold that with me today. I love that watch. It's wonderful. And you know, I didn't know until today that there was 4 watch brands that all submitted to be NASA certified. Was that right?
Yeah. So the history of how the Speedmaster became the Moonwatch is pretty interesting because prior to Gemini missions, like astronauts just kind of wore whatever they wanted. And then like, for example, the first Omega that went into space was in 1962 by Wally Schirra, who wore his own personal Speedmaster on the Mercury Sigma 7. So in 1964, I believe, like NASA decided that they wanted to search for a watch that astronauts could wear as part of a uniform. And they had these standards. So it was like, it had to be accuracy to plus or minus 5 seconds a day. It had to be readable in different lighting situations, had to be a chronograph, had to be resistance to shock magnetism and 50-meter water resistant at least. And so the power, it could be manual or self-winding, but the watch had to be able to be manually wound.
Okay.
And so they sent this proposal to 10 different companies, and only 4 watch companies submitted watches to NASA. Like, could you imagine?
What?
Like if NASA sends you a letter and says, yo, like, send me a couple of chronographs, I would think that you would be all over it, right? No.
Well, was NASA what it is today though? That's the thing. Did people were like, "Oh, this is a joke maybe." Or I don't know. Now obviously it's such a big deal, but I don't know how big of a deal it was then. I would assume very, because we'd already been into space, but
Right.
exactly.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Well, one of the companies
What were you thinking, people?
Yeah. Well, somebody got a little salty about it too a few years later.
Oh.
Yeah. So Bulova, this is all the random stuff that I know. So Bulova was one of the 10 companies that NASA submitted like a proposal to. They never submitted a watch to NASA. So the 4 companies that submitted watches to NASA were Omega, Rolex, Longines, and Hamilton. But the Hamilton sent a pocket watch, so they were kicked out. So it really was down to 3 watches. But so Bulova never submitted a watch, even though that they, one was requested. And then like in the 70s, I think, so right after like, all of the moon landings and all of this, I think it was like 1972 or 76, something like that. Bulova threw this huge fit because at that time they were an American-owned company. And Bulova petitioned NASA that they had to redo, like, to search for a new watch because of the Buy American Act, which is essentially it's a law that's basically, if a government entity is needing equipment or supplies and there's an American company that can provide an equal or better quality at a lower price, then the government has to buy the American version of it. They can't buy something else. And I think, if I remember correctly, for a while, like some parts of Speedmasters were made or assembled here in America to be able to compete with Bulova and to maintain their ability to be the NASA issued watch.
Wow,
all the scandals way back in the day.
Yeah, and I mean, and we'll talk about a couple different other watches, because I have a couple favorites as far as mine that have been to space. Obviously, the Speedmaster, but I love, and want to own the Seiko Pogue. Like, I love that watch so much.
Yeah.
So this watch was wore by Colonel William Pogue, and I think the reference number is 6139, so it's the yellow dial, and it's got like the Pepsi bezel on it. I've heard that this watch wears really, really big. For even a Seiko, it wears really large.
Oh no.
But so he wore it on the Skylab mission, which was like 1973-74, and I believe that mission lasted 84 days. But this was the first chronograph in space, the first automatic chronograph in space, I should say. I'll clarify that. But kind of a cool story I read on this is that he kind of sneaked this Seiko on board because they didn't get their Speedmasters till late in training, and he wasn't used to the Speedmaster, so he wore it on board, but he also snuck in the Seiko.
All right, can we call out not used to the Speedmaster? What is there to get used to, sir?
I know.
Like, just say, hey, I want to bring my Seiko. Like, who?
Well, yeah, I don't know if they would have
pressing
approved it though.
pushers.
Yeah, I don't know if they would have approved it. So he put it in his pocket, and then he used it. And then I think I read that when he was aboard the ship, or when he was in space, he wore the Seiko. I think he wore the Seiko on his left with the U.S. Central Time, and then he wore the Speedy on his right, which was set to the Greenwich Mean Time. Yeah, that's kind of a cool story. And I'm just a fan of the Pogue. Aesthetically, even before I knew its roots in NASA, I still like the watch. It's just a very cool vintage Seiko, and they have lots of cool dials. There's a silver gray dial. There's a blue dial.
Yeah.
But that one, and then of course I do like the Accutron, the Bulova Accutron, the astronaut that they do. I think is really cool.
Yeah.
Are there any others that like stand out to you as far as other watches that have gone?
As far as like
space?
kind of story, I like so John Glenn, being the first American to orbit Earth. He wore a Heuer pocket watch. So again, like this is Heuer because this is before it became Tag Heuer. He taped it to his wrist. Like, that is so...
Oh, really?
That's so utilitarian. That's a really big dad move, you know? Like, I could just imagine this man duct taping this watch, like, around his spacesuit or something like that to be able to wear it. Just absolutely hilarious. Like, I know, so in early Soviet space exploration, obviously, so the first man in space was Yuri Gagarin, or Gagarin, I believe it's Gagarin, who wore a state-issued Stramansky. So Stramansky, I know, has a big cult following with a lot of people in horology. But then later on, that the NASA or the the Soviet issued watch wound up being Strela for quite a long time, which I think is really interesting too. Let's see. There was Ben. Dang it. Really should have practiced these pronunciations, huh? Who wore a ball engineer hydrocarbon Space Master. I think that's super cool.
That's
Mostly
cool.
because I keep seeing ball watches everywhere right now and really want to check them out.
Yeah, you know, Ball, when I think of Ball, you know, I obviously think of their history with trains, but because that's where I think their roots are. Their roots,
Yeah.
they were the timepiece for conductors and train masters at the time. But now, when you know their current models, I think of a very tool watch. You know, they're so tough. They've got all these like great specs, and I'd like to check a recent model out. We need to try to reach out to them actually, because I love tritium. I love the tubes that they do, and I've actually owned a couple balls, and I think that sounds bad.
I was trying to be the adults who didn't start giggling, but thank you for
I can't.
You had to leave it in there.
Say that.
It's there.
No.
It has to say. So you've owned a couple of balls, Kat.
No.
It has to say. Move on. How did you feel about the balls that you owned?
I have owned several.
We're adults. We got this. We can talk about the ball watches.
Yeah, I have owned a ball watch, and I gotta say I was impressed with the quality. The style of the two that I had just wasn't for me personally, but they were very impressive watches, and I was impressed with the quality of them.
For sure. You know who else has an official NASA certified watch? Timex. I thought that was super cool, actually.
Oh, that's really cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, like you would think that
does it have Snoopy on it?
No, it does not have Snoopy on it. No,
Oh,
unfortunately.
that would be really cool, though.
Yeah, where was oh, you know what? So I totally forgot about that. And then Timex released those cute Snoopy watches. I feel like Timex's marketing team really missed like a pretty cool opportunity to push that story.
Yeah, because they released them several months ago, and even last year. Like I feel like they could have waited a little bit and like really have done it well.
Yeah, it was some digital watch, you know, that Timex had done. I'll see if I can find some pictures of it and post it with our show notes. But still, like I genuinely had no idea, and maybe that's where like Timex focuses a little bit more. You know, they don't focus as much on the enthusiast community because obviously as enthusiasts we would know like the importance of watches in NASA. You know, versus like just regular, you know, the regular world of non-watch nerds. So I don't know. But even then, like everybody loves NASA. NASA has such a following. So I don't know. Timex missed out. Timex missed out. All right. So since most astronauts wear two watches historically, we have decided if you and I were going to space, we said, screw 2020, we're done. We're hopping on the next SpaceX shuttle and we're getting the F out of here. Yeah. What would we wear? Given if we want
this is such a hard decision.
It really was way harder than I thought it was. But so we talked about the NASA tests to begin with, right? That, you know, the 4 watch braids had to go through all these tests. So they went through 11 of the craziest tests ever. So including high temperature, low temperature, pressure, humidity, oxygen, shock, acceleration, decompression, high pressure, vibration, acoustic noise, right? So 11 crazy tests. And like the temperatures were insane. Like I believe, if I remember correctly, like the hands on the Rolex melted during the temperature test. So like insane test.
Rolex couldn't take the heat.
Get out the kitchen, Rolex.
Yep.
So did you take any of these tests into consideration when picking your 2 watches?
Well, I didn't, because I think a lot of watches nowadays honestly are going to pass the same test that some of these were put through, because I think a lot of watches now are built, they're overbuilt. I think they have features on them that we don't really need or want. And I think most watches would be okay flying into space at this point, more so than they would back then. I think temperatures have changed and what they're going to deal with. You know, I don't think water resistant is a big issue there. I mean, unless you like run your hand through the floating water or something, and I feel like you can avoid it pretty much at all costs while you're in space. So no, I didn't. What about you? Did you consider these tests?
Nope, not in the least. And I can tell you why.
And I think we're fine.
Yeah, no, I know I'm fine. I will explain my reasoning when I explain my watch selections, but no, I'm good. I'm not worried about these tests. Whatever.
No. I think probably whatever watches we pick, I think they would pass these tests.
Well, let's see what we would wear into space. So, Kat, and now we have no idea. We've not taught, like, literally we just
I have no
finished
idea.
our notes. We have no idea.
I'm gonna laugh so hard if it's the same.
I texted you and I was like, my picks are freaking crazy, and you were like, same girl. So this should be a good time. Let's see.
Well, I have one crazy pick and then one somewhat normal pick.
Maybe. Oh no, mine are both crazy. So, but it's fine. I'm gonna justify them. I'm gonna let you know why I went crazy. So,
okay,
what is your first pick?
My first pick is a Grande Seiko Snowflake. So this is
okay.
The SBGA 211.
Right.
That is the spring drive movement. Now, before you get on me, because I know everybody's like, oh wait, Kat, I thought you didn't like titanium. I know, but like I've said before, I don't like titanium watches. Now, I don't think titanium is going to be a problem for me when I'm in zero gravity, because I don't think I'm going to notice that difference. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to notice that difference like I do here on Earth. So, with that being said, I picked this watch for multiple reasons. This one has the spring drive movement, which is a high frequency quartz that basically has the illusion of a mechanical watch, very, very smooth movement. It is titanium, 41 millimeters, plus or minus 1 second a day. So incredibly accurate. It's got a good power reserve on it, 72 hours, not really needed because I'll probably be wearing it every day while I'm in space, just saying. So the reason I picked this watch was because I wanted to have something in space that I could marvel at and I could stare at, because
aside from the fact that you're in space, like you can look out the window and look at the Earth.
I know that, but at some point you get a little bit bored, you get a little antsy, right? And you might want to just calm yourself down by looking at your wrist and watching this incredibly smooth hand on this just mesmerizing textured dial that this watch has. And it reminds me of snow, and it reminds me of home. It reminds me of Earth. And I feel like I want something that reminds me of my home planet. And I feel like this watch very much does that for me. Again, it's incredibly beautiful. And the spring drive, which I didn't know this, I was kind of looking into this movement because I did a little bit take into consideration if it was going to be tough enough for the trip. And it absolutely is, because spring drive apparently offers more shock resistance than traditional mechanical movements because there's no balance wheel.
So it's
even more, yeah, I don't know why I don't have spring drive now. Now I want a spring drive.
Oh Lord. Hashtag all the watches.
I know. But so that is my first pick. And I'm very happy with that one. What about you? What's your first watch that you're going to take with you into space?
All right. So I'm coming at this from a whole other level, all right? I looked up the cost of going to space. Here's the thing. I freaking suck at math. I am not going to be an astronaut. There's no way they're going to be like, oh yeah, girl, you got this. You can do all this math in your head. Go on up in that rocket ship. No way. So the only way I'm going to space is if I pay for it. Do you know how much it costs to get into space? As a civilian,
I would have to say $50 million.
Damn. Okay. So
was that close?
NASA's civilian cost estimate is $50 million just to get there. But then
I was right on it.
But then NASA is estimating they're going to charge $35,000 per night on the International Space Shuttle. Like, yeah, so I gotta be rich, okay? Like,
yeah.
So that's what I based my two picks off of, is the fact that I'm rich. So
Caitlin's won the lottery.
Caitlin, I don't know what I did, but all the watches is not a problem anymore. So that being said, I don't have to worry about things like these. If something breaks, I'll just buy another one, or I'll just get it fixed. I got all
Okay.
I got $50 million plus like however many nights I want to stay on the space shuttle. So, and they're going to have like an 8-night minimum. Let's be honest. Like, it's going to be ridiculous. It's an expensive trip. Okay. So my first pick is from De Bethune, the DB-28 tourbillon. I just want something that looks futuristic and sexy and fun, and it looks like space. These things, it just reminds me, like when you look at this watch, it just looks like it belongs in space. Also, incredibly.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, it's incredibly comfortable too, because it has these they call them floating lugs, and so like it just lets the watch sit incredibly well, even on a small wrist. So I don't have to worry about it looking too big or feeling too big. The lugs, I think this thing would look great on one of those Velcro issued, NATO straps for sure.
Yeah.
By the way, I know that the Omega Speedmaster like box sets now come with a Velcro issue, like the NASA issue Velcro strap. If somebody has figured out how to wear that with a pair of blue jeans, just real casual, let me know. Send me a picture because I'm so curious as to how somebody could pull off that long strap. But back to my point. Yeah, this thing is amazing. It's sexy as hell. It's just black and titanium. And I love it. Again, I'm going with you on the titanium. Don't come at me in my DMs. I think at some sort of price point, I'm okay with titanium. Sapphire crystal, which is super hard. It's got that open case back. Or no, it does not have an open case back. Wait for it. I don't think it does.
It better at that price.
I don't think it does. Let's just take that out. Oh, yeah, it does because it has the power reserve situated on the case back as well. So it's just sexy. I've never seen one of these in person, but I think they're just so hot. And when I think about a watch that I want to take into space, I'm going to flex on all y'all, okay? With my like millions of dollars that I paid just to get there. Flexing. So sorry, Speedmaster.
No, I mean, and I
you're
think like
home.
that watch is like super futuristic, and if you were going to space, you'd want to have something that like reminds you of it when you get back, and like that is a very great option.
Yeah, right. Thank you.
Very
I'm
cool.
glad that you support this option.
I support you.
Oh, thanks, boo.
Ride or die. We're
Aw.
going
We're going
together.
to space
Remember?
together. Can we get a discount? Can we? Hey, all right. Can we share a room on the space shuttle? Like, can we split that 35K?
I don't think there's rooms. Oh man,
At 35K a night, I better get a damn room and some room service. Okay.
You're sleeping in that bunk.
Oh, damn it, man.
Caught.
Oh wow. A girl can hope. Then they need to get they need to get some stuff together before they start charging those prices. Is all I'm saying.
One of these days. And I mean, I just want to pause for a second because this whole SpaceX mission, and I'm sure everybody knows, but the goal that I've heard in mind is they want to start transporting people into space at a lower cost, especially for the United States, because we have to pay, Russians or whoever to transport our astronauts for an incredibly ridiculous amount of money. But now we can do it a little bit cheaper if these missions become successful. But like, that's also I think Elon Musk said he wanted to start, working towards building settlements on Mars, which is just mind boggling to me because I just like, you see that in movies and I don't know. I still don't get it.
No.
It's so beyond what I can comprehend. And I know it's coming. I mean, it's going to be here, whether it's in my lifetime or not. Wow. It's just incredible. And I want to also say, I watched a movie last night. It just reminded me because it was about space. It was that Ad Astra that had Brad Pitt in it. Might have come out earlier this year, actually, now that I think about it. But everyone said it was terrible, and granted, it was a really slow movie. But I thought it was decent. I didn't think it was that bad. Yeah.
Cat's
anyway,
glowing reviews.
random
I
little...
thought it was decent, not that bad.
It wasn't as bad. Like, people said it was terrible, and I expected to be watching a terrible movie, and I was entertained through most of it. It wasn't a happy-go-lucky movie. It wasn't funny. There wasn't a lot of action, but there was a lot of space in it. If you love space, you love NASA, the shots in it, the cinematography was amazing. So I'd watch it just for that. But it was really cool. I'd still recommend someone to watch it, even though it's not my favorite by any means.
All right.
Where are we? Sorry.
What's on
I got off track for a second.
So you've got the Snowflake. Snowflake is I
got the Snowflake on my left wrist.
What's on that right wrist?
So on my right wrist is another titanium watch, actually. And I didn't splurge too much with this one. I went with a G-Shock Square titanium camo watch. I love this edition.
Bring that redneck to space.
I had to, because look, at the end of the day, it's still me. And like, yes, I could go with like much cooler G-Shocks, but I want something that's like, someone looks at me and they're like, that is totally Kat. Like, she's wearing that. That's her. Now, I would love to see, G-Shock come out with like a white ghosted camo version of this watch. I think that would be so cool. Wouldn't you? Like, I would buy that in a second.
Well, why doesn't G-Shock do a white? Now, this doesn't make sense, actually.
I don't know, what do you call it? Like a snow leopard camo, like, I don't know.
Like just a snow camo. We don't have to have a snow leopard in there. But
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure that they make just snow camouflage. Yeah. And whoever from G-Shock is listening to this, we want a cut of that when you put that out, okay? Thank you.
Yes.
That would be so hot. You could do pops of color, too. Ooh.
Yeah, you could do gray and like a blue. Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
Oh, I am emailing G-Shock for that watch tonight. Like, we are on this.
We'll get the official name from Zachary. I don't know what the winter camo is called, but I'm sure there's a good name for it.
He knows it.
I bet he does. But this, the watch is ion plated. And then they do this laser etching dotted camo pattern to it, which is just amazing. And I am honestly surprised that I don't have this watch, to be honest with you. I think when I first saw it, I wasn't totally in love with it, but now I really have grown to like it. But the reason I picked this watch is, yes, I picked the Grande Seiko, but I still feel like you need a tool watch in space. You need something that you can set multiple time zones with. You need to set alarms. You need to be able to time up, time down things. And this also has a solar technology to it. So when you're out there working on the ship, it can charge up from the sun. I don't know. It'll charge. It'll be fine. But yeah, I just think that I still want to have something that I can use in case computers crash. Like, I'll do my math. I'll figure it out. I'll use my watch. But I feel like I've got to have a chronograph, and I want to go with a G-Shock. So there's my second pick.
All right. Fair enough.
All right. What's on your other wrist?
So, first of all, I read that SpaceX took like the most advanced computers like that they've ever had up to the space shuttle.
I would hope so.
So I ain't worried about technology, okay? If Elon Musk was in charge of it, I'm sure it's all good. I'm not worried about technology. Again, hashtag I'm rich. So my second,
I'm rich, bitch.
I was gonna say it, but I didn't think you'd let me. Dang it!
I don't bleep you.
You don't bleep me. I clearly don't listen to
our
edited episode. Well, hashtag I'm rich, bitch.
No.
So I am going with the Richard Mille, the RM5205.
Of course.
This is the one. This is the one that Pharrell helped design. So it's a 30-piece limited edition. You know what I'm talking about.
I love that one, actually.
This is the one that it has an astronaut on the dial, and in the back of that, there's like Earth and the planets on this aventurine plate. 30 pieces. Literally, the watch is $1 million, but hashtag I'm rich. So it's a manual wound tourbillon. Look, tourbillon in space, probably not the most shock absorbent. If it weren't a Richard Mille, tennis players wear it. This watch is made to be allegedly, supposedly, football players wear them on the field, even if they're fake. So it's fine. This watch is made. Surely this thing can handle it. And if not, you know what? I'm rich. So it has a crown that's designed to look like the Martian rover tire, which is so freaking cool, awesome. Considering that SpaceX's goal, which I was going to mention, but you already beat me to it, was to start colonizing Mars. So I'm already ahead of the game there, baby. So it's
Oh my
red
gosh,
gold.
that watch is perfect.
It's great, right? So it's red gold. It's also brown cermet, which is a combination of metal and ceramic. Don't know how it holds up, but I'm rich, so it's okay. That is my plan. That is my second watch. I am balling in space. That's where I'm at.
You are definitely balling in space, man.
I'm gonna get robbed on the space
cheapskate
shuttle
over here. You are. That's hilarious. No, those are great picks. I mean, I like the second one better than the first one. I really do.
I do too.
think
That's why I saved
that's
it.
a perfect watch. Yeah.
That's why I saved it for last. This was fun.
Man.
Now, I have to say, this was
so much
so hard. Like, I feel like this
was.
is the hardest of any watch picks we've ever had to do. There's just, like, we didn't set a price point, so the world was our canvas. We could have picked any watch whatsoever, except for Speedmaster. You did text me and you said no Speedmasters.
Yeah. I was like, no Speedies because, like, we're going to get one for free anyway when we go to space. 'Cause if we're astronauts, we will at least.
But I'm not an astronaut. I'm not smart like that. I'm not math smart.
That's right.
So
you're not going to get a Speedy.
I'm not getting a Speedy.
You don't need a Speedy.
I'm rich, so it's okay.
Rich.
I'll just buy all the Speedies. Yeah, this was fun. I'm really curious. Like, I want to hear what some of you guys would have picked. So
Absolutely.
either on our show notes or on the Instagram post, like, tell us what watch you would take to space. Like, if you want to go the practical route, if you want to go the I'm rich route, if you want to be historic or vintage.
No limits.
Yeah. Anything. Pick a watch, post it. Let's see what you guys got. Kat, is there anything else we need to discuss today? Does that wrap us up?
I think that's it.
All right. So before we wrap up today, I know that a lot of you guys would have seen that already on Instagram, but we want to give a special congratulations to Scott, who is at EDC Buffalo on Instagram. He was the winner of the Notice giveaway. And again, so first of all, thank you to everybody who entered, because we had tons of entries. It was so cool. I loved seeing how excited everybody got about it, because honestly, it's an amazing watch. I have one of the retrospects, so I know from personal experience. I'm also really eyeballing this particular retrospect. So
You have been eyeballing this one.
So bad, man. All the watches is a real struggle, but
always a struggle.
Yeah. So I mean, really, congratulations. This is such an awesome watch. And thank you to everybody who shared and who commented and who just got excited, and even who got excited congratulating him for winning.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, oh, everybody's so sweet.
I know. We have the best listeners, I swear.
We have the best
listeners.
listeners.
Our listeners.
We do.
But then also a big shout out to Notice, to Wes and Colin.
Yes.
That was such an amazing giveaway. We had a lot of people thanking us. Honestly, we had nothing to do with it. We just announced it, posted it on social media. They graciously
That was it.
Yeah, that was it. Like, this giveaway had nothing to do with us. This was about them wanting to spread some love in the watch community. So if you don't already follow Notice Watches, give them a follow on Instagram and check out their stuff. Like, I have 2 of their watches. We've handled several of their other watches. They're a really awesome micro brand, based out of Los Angeles, or based out of California. And, just 2 really great guys. And I love supporting good people. So definitely check those guys out.
Definitely. They are the 2 coolest guys ever.
I know. I can't wait to meet them in person. I know that they have another giveaway that they're sponsoring over on Half Watch Tuesday. So I'll put the link in our show notes as well. So if you miss out on this one, you can enter into that giveaway as well. And that is for the icy blue color dial, which I'm also obsessing over. So
they're all literally, they're all so good.
They're all sold out. So clearly they're all so good. So good. Sorry. I don't know what happened, but I pronounced that like crazy. So, yeah, I think that's it for today.
That's it.
We have an intro now.
Man, this is a good episode.
We're freaking legit, man.
Yeah.
70 episodes, almost a year later. Look at us.
Oh, man.
All right. Well, head over to our website, which is www.tenn2.com. That's spelled TENN and 2. Check us out over on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Tenn2 Media. Give us a follow. Make sure interact with us. Interact on our Instagram. We're both on there all the time. You're usually interacting. Well, there's 2 of us, so you're definitely interacting with one of us. We respond to everybody's messages. We try to comment on everything. But especially in this instance, I really want to know what you guys would have brought into space. So get over there on the link for this, or on the post for this episode, and let us know. And that is us for today.
That is it.
I wish I had some like space thing goodbye. Like I don't know. What did they say in like Star Trek? Did they ever say anything?
Star Trek?
Yeah. Like way back in the day when like my parents used to watch it and I would watch it with them sometimes. All right. Clearly we're not really big space show nerds. So
no.
Never mind. I guess
Trek.
That's us over and out.
Beam me up, Scotty. Like I know that.
There we
like,
go. I don't know.
Yeah. That's not a goodbye. I don't know. Is that a goodbye?
Is that a goodbye? Beam us up and take us to space so that we can get out of here. So we will let you guys go because now we're just rambling for no reason. So with that being said, bye y'all. Enjoy your day.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Bye.